Welcome to January, guys. And this is episode 156 of Double Cross Anime. Last podcast, we have a look back at the best of the 2022. This time, we're gonna look at the present to see what offering that we have at the new season, Winter 2023.
Yeah.
So, as usual, we pick out the 10 shows that we are the most interested with, watch them, and we're gonna talk about them and rank them.
Yep. 1 through 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. So they'll be ordered rather than graded or rated. You know the drill. This is our 21st time doing an episode like this. So if you've been here before, you already know what we're about to do. And these 10, we typically pick like 5 that I want to watch and 5 that Mario wants to watch. And if there's any overlap, we go down the list a little bit. So these are not always the 10 best series.
That's true.
In fact, there was one. What show was it that we had lined up to talk about here? And you were like, let's. Oh no, it was Technoroid Overmind.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And you were like, maybe we can just not.
Switch to the other shows.
Right.
We had a whole bunch of other shows that I enjoyed that not make it here, like Hikari, Mononogatari. But I would say I'm happy with the 10s that we got.
Yeah, I know that you have been going crazy watching all these first episodes for the blog. Now that it's basically just you and Lenlo doing everything. I don't know if Amun has picked up the slack at all over on Star-Crossed.
Yeah. Well, Ledlo, who the one who did the most.
Yeah.
He go absolutely crazy about that.
Yeah, but
good for us.
You're one step below that, but I'm multiple steps below that because it's only these 10 that I've seen from this new. Now that I'm not doing stuff on like a daily basis for new premieres. It's only these 10 that I've watched. I haven't seen Hikari. I haven't seen Mononoke. I haven't seen anything else other than these 10 shows, which we're going to talk about alphabetically, as we always do.
Yep. And try more important as well is the Cougar doing judo.
Yeah.
That's a good show, actually.
That was originally on my list of shows that I wanted to check out. It just barely missed the cut when we kind of combined our individual lists. Yep. I was initially like really interested in it, but I saw the PV and I looked into the staff a little bit and I thought it was kind of, I just thought it would be basically unremarkable. But that is one that I had my eye on originally. So maybe I'll end up giving the first episode a try.
Yep, give it a try sometime. But let's get to our 10s.
Right.
And we, like at tradition, we do it alphabetically.
Mm-hmm.
So we will go with the first one, which is Buddy Daddies.
Yeah, Buddy Daddies. Another this is PA Works.
Yep.
And I was ready to pass on this completely. I was like, this just looks like, I don't know what this even looks like. It looks completely ridiculous. Looks like they want to capitalize on the popularity of Spy Family. Because there's a cute little kid and then there's 2 adults who do, spy shit and kill people and stuff.
Well, yeah. Well,
this show is even more direct about the killing. In fact, it mixes together the main character's encounter with the kid that they're going to quote unquote adopt with an assassination type mission.
Yep. I think they're more like a high gun,
A what?
They more like an assassins, more like spies. Yeah. I don't, but
no, they are killers.
Yeah, that's right.
In fact, the cold open of this episode has nothing to do with the kid or the mission that the blonde guy. I got the names here. Let me see. Kazuki. Okay, Kurusu. First names. Kazuki is he's eventually tasked with a mission that puts him face to face with Miri, the girl. But that's it. That's only after we get through the cold open, which is the 2 of them or him chasing after somebody on a motorcycle and then eventually cornering them in a warehouse and stealing some briefcase that they have and then just killing them.
Hold on. The one who pursued them on the motorcycle is the other one, right?
Okay.
he's the one who drive the cab.
Oh, right. That's right. He disguises himself as the cab driver so that they can end up at the warehouse, on the harbor or whatever. Yeah, they just kill the guy after they get what they want from him, don't they? And it's kind of played for laughs, like, oh man, I'm so pissed at you that you dropped her off at daycare today, because this is a flash forward, I guess, or rather, it's taking place in the present, and the rest of the first episode's a flashback that explains how they met Miri. But he's like, I'm pissed at you because you dropped her off at daycare even though she had a fever, and then hilariously, like, kills a man.
Like the man isn't that important at all.
Right.
But
so they can just dispose of him by taking his life. That's very different from Spy Family, which is, even though it features an assassin as one of the main characters, it still like kind of handles everything with kid gloves.
True. I actually enjoy, the first half of this episode. So we see more about Rei and Kazuki. We see like they are two different individuals with like very contrasting personalities. Rei is more like a shut-in, and Kazuki is more like active. But we see more side of him as well in regard to his past. Like he did have a wife, and like a wife is pregnant. We don't know what happened after that though, and why he become like a spy slash killers like he is now. But like this flashing of flashback like that, I think I can really appreciate, because they don't spell out the whole thing. They just something that keep reminding us the other side of Kazuki.
Yeah, I wasn't bothered by the flashbacks that informed us about his past relationship, and the fact that his former lover, wife, whatever their situation was, that she was pregnant. Because that obviously him being a hitman, or at the very least involved in the intelligence community somehow, that's going to inform how he thinks about his job. Or will it? It's not as though he got out of the game. He is still like slanging bullets, but he also is going to care for this little kid now. I mean, if you think too hard about it, I feel like it kind of collapses.
That's
it really
true.
doesn't make a whole lot of sense that the two of them are involved in this incredibly dangerous line of work, but they also have this very front-facing, fancy apartment, and they kind of live like normal lives.
Well, that's basically the premise. So like you have to just roll with it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I guess. Yeah, but I like the contrast between like Rei and Kazuki in terms of Rei want to adopt a cat. In which the blonde guy just say, nah, we're not in the position of like taking care of anything, so he dropped the cat back, and then later on it's Kazuki who basically just take over Miri,
right,
the girl.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he would probably be more vulnerable to her charms, I guess, because
Charms.
because he would be her charms is just like a cute little kid, like because he had the woman that he loved was pregnant, and he what happened to her exactly? We don't know whether she.
We don't know.
Okay. We don't know whether she died or was killed as revenge for something that he had done, like professionally. Yeah, but his missing child is probably on his mind all the time, so he would be more captivated by Miri, I guess. But it's not as though he's anti-fun, or he has no heart except where Miri is concerned. I mean, he does go back to the cardboard box where he leaves the cat with some cat food, intending to provide a little sustenance for it, but the cat's not there, so he just leaves the food in the box, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, I do too. So like I said, I pretty much enjoyed the first half until the girls came, because I think the girl just like wreak havoc a bit too much. She influenced the second half too much, and just doesn't sit right to me.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
sit
don't know
right
why.
that she is so heavily involved in an assassination attempt. I keep saying that, but were they actually intending to kill that guy? They were, right? Because there's that one shot where Ray has his gun and he's hiding behind the table for cover,
Yeah.
like an overturned table, and he says, "I have a clean shot through the kid." So they definitely are trying to kill him, right? Like Ray
Yep.
is
Yep.
considering shooting through like a little 4-year-old girl to hit their
Yep.
target in the chest.
And the fact that this girl who pretty much like obvious to like to all the gun shooting,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and she actually come up unharmed as well.
Yeah.
So
Well, like you said, it's the premise. You just got to roll with it.
that's right. And there is even a plot hole with that as well. So you see at the end we see the letters. I don't know what the letter what that from, but they have like the picture of that guy, the guy who they kill, and the wife, and there are another pictures of of the wife and her Miri. So like we can link that Miri is looking for the father who is like a person that these two kill, so they have to adapt her. But then
She's
again, it's
not
like,
the. No, I don't think that's right. I don't
yep,
think she's the daughter of the person that they killed. Is she?
is it because the picture we got is like the woman in the picture was the wife of that guy, the one who started the party, who host the party.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I get. So that's why they said like shit. Now we have to take care of her.
Oh, okay, interesting. I wasn't sure who that woman was, like what her identity was. It didn't seem
Yeah,
to
but
me that she bore too much resemblance to the woman at the party.
yeah, I hope she not, because if she was right, it's a huge plot hole.
Why?
Because Miri doesn't recognize her when they get into the party.
I mean,
She just keep looking for the dad, and she just kind of ignore the mom
yeah, no, I
who she knows.
I got something completely different, dude. I think that Kazuki
Right.
actually is her father. Because the
Kazuki.
woman in the photo has like shoulder length brown hair, and so does the woman in his flashbacks.
Huh.
And not only
Huh.
that, the woman who drags him inside the casino, early on in the episode, there are a couple of girls in Santa outfits because it's Christmas time, and they're outside trying to drum up business by bringing men into the casino so they can gamble, or just people. I mean, I don't know. They could bring in women too.
Yep.
But
A kid.
well, but that one of those girls in the Santa outfits also has shoulder length brown hair. So maybe we're just meant to assume that like that's Kazuki's type. He just loves brunettes.
All right.
But
Alright.
I don't know. The
I
fact that the woman in the photo and the woman in the flashbacks have the same like hairstyle indicates to me that it's possible that he really is the father.
All right. I blame the character design for this.
So you just think that that's
So
not
men-
the case?
Yeah, so many people with like the same appearance.
Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, maybe the director or the character designer really just likes brunettes.
All right.
I don't know.
But
I'm just trying to make sense of all this. I'm trying to make sense of a show where two assassins raise a little girl
right.
and do not attempt to like disguise the fact that they're killing people from her. I'm sure that they will going forward, but she is extremely like blatantly inserted into the existing assassination plot in this first episode. And yeah, it doesn't go over particularly well, but
Yep.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to follow that up.
I yeah, that's right. I still interested to see to want to see more. Especially because Ray and Kazuki, I think these two have like a contrasting personality, which like they pass up each other well.
I don't know.
I'm not
I feel like it's a little
I'm
too obvious, don't you? Like they're so
a bit
diametrically opposed to one another that it just seems like, well, how can we design two characters who are nothing like each other and just max out on that discrepancy?
Yeah, that it is. It's a bit obvious, but I hope Miris is gonna get a bit better because I'm not fan of her in these 4 episodes.
I have no issue. I mean, obviously the way that the show treats her and makes her like completely innocent and oblivious to everything that's going on. It the to me it has less to do with like feeling wrong and inappropriate and more just being like stretching my suspension of disbelief.
Yep.
So I don't
Yep.
particularly object to it. I just think it's kind of stupid. But having said that, like I don't think that she as a character, like as an individual, is stupid. I think she's just like a cute kid. I like her. I like her little bunny, her little pink backpack with the rabbit ears. I like the character who's voicing her.
Yep.
So, as long as this first episode just kind of, if we don't circle back around to it too much, like it doesn't become the basis of any longer storylines or character dynamics, then I think it's all right.
Yeah, that's true. Hopefully, it just go away from the spy and family vibe, because if we get a lot of that, I don't think this gonna be good for this show.
I don't know. I actually think that might be the point.
Okay.
Given the timing of the show's premiere, if let's say a show takes like 2 or 3 years of pre-production before it can actually air, well, pre-production and actual production. Let's say it takes 2.5 years for the show to go from like meetings about like pitching it to a production company or to a producer before it can come on air. That's like mid 2020. That's probably when the Spy Family manga is like doing gangbusters numbers. So it feels a little bit to me like they thought, well, what if Spy Family but 2 dads?
Yep.
And it's probably going to work.
Yep.
This show's probably going to be a success. That's just my intuition, I guess.
Oh, PA work original. So
yeah, I mean the majority of their series are. Although the PA work show that I'm looking forward to more than this one is Skip and Loafer, which is coming out sometime this year, I think, and is like a complete departure from their typical character design, which generally looks the same from show to show. So that's one where I feel like they're actually going to follow the source material pretty closely, and I'm just more interested in that in general. But I didn't think Buddy Daddies was bad, I completely passed over it originally, but I think it was pretty good actually.
all right, but are you in for like a few more episodes for this one?
To be honest, the way that I'm going to treat anime this year is I'm only in if the two of us end up deciding to watch something for the podcast. I doubt I'm going to watch anything else until it gets like closer to the end of the year and I end up blitzing through a bunch of stuff.
That extreme, but all right.
Well, I got other stuff to do.
Cool. Yep. So I read it 5th out of 10.
For me, it was 2nd.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So
Well,
that must say that you might not enjoy all the other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, as is typical, right? Last season was kind of the exception for me.
Yep.
I typically only end up enjoying like the 3, let's say maybe 3 or 4 shows that I put at the top of the pile, and everything else I just think is kind of trash.
Yep.
So we're back
All
back
right.
to your regularly scheduled programming here, at least on my end.
All right. Let's get to the next show then. The one that just premiered like a few hours ago. Hikari no U, or the Fire Hunter.
Right. Yeah, based on a novel, and directed by Junji Nishimura, scripted by Mamoru Oshii. So
Well, yep.
it's kind of the headliner, one of the headliners for this season. Although when you actually sit down and watch it, it feels like it won't be too big a success just because of the art style. And
I love the art style.
do you?
I do. I don't see anything, like anything mixed about that at all. I think it just shut out great to look at.
Really?
All right. So what are you not fun of the visual this time?
Well, before I get into my personal criticisms, I'll say that like what I meant was I don't think this show's going to be a hit because of the
All
art
right. Yep.
style. Don't you think the character designs look kind of like Japan sinks?
Not really. All right. Not really.
No, okay.
I
I think that
I
that's the
actually
closest you can like. Japan sinks is the closest analog to this show's character designs.
all right. And even with Japan Sing, I actually think that the character design is one of the strength of Japan Sing.
Damn. All right. Well,
Remember that guy, that American dude,
yeah. What was his name? Danny or Daniel?
Or
That's
I
right.
don't remember, but he looked vastly different. He looked very distinctive, like in the context of Japan Sings.
Well, that's great
And
for him.
yeah, I have no issue at all with the character design, with the design in general. I think there are many really good shots in there.
Oh man.
So
Yeah, I don't agree at all.
all right,
I thought that
the
this show was
dog.
extremely. First of all, I
Yep.
love the backgrounds. I feel like
I
that
love
the
yep.
watercolor effect used for like forested areas is great.
Mhm.
I feel like the Toko's village, Toko being the one of the two main characters, because apparently we have like a dual protagonist set up here, and it's going to cut back and forth between their perspectives using those like those white title cards on the black
Oh,
screen. When it's
right,
going to cut to somebody like the other side basically. So it's like
right.
third person limited perspective in terms of how the novel was written, and it dedicates different chapters to each of the two main characters. That's what I would
Right.
infer based on this first episode, which is great, and the show's respecting that setup, from the source material.
Hmm.
Though the constant intrusion of the narrator, explaining that, before this is the new version of the world, but before the world was like reborn, people used to be able to control fire and they were resistant to disease and stuff. We hear that multiple times in this episode. The narrator is like cutting in
Yep.
to tell us that, and I not exactly a huge fan of that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that front. It more of like heavily on the world building. Like set up the setting so much that it can feel a bit too much at time, heavy, obvious. Like all these.
I think it's I agree. I think it's another choice that Oshii and the other writers have made to essentially just pull straight from the source material, pull straight from the novel. I have to imagine that when the narrator's talking about that stuff, that's information that's delivered straight to the reader in the novel,
Yep.
and they just went with it. They were like, well, rather than
Yeah.
break our backs trying to write this information into a script, in a way that feels more natural for, let's say, an audio-visual medium, we're just gonna insert it right in there, and then maybe go home and see our families a little bit earlier than if we had to work a little harder on the scripts. And hey,
Well,
sounds good to me, man. Go home, play with
I
your
I, I
kids.
yeah. Well, I do think that it less of like lazy writing, but more of the way that they want to emphasize that in for us to like to really get the feel of the new world. With
I mean, I think it is
which
just kind of lazy, but
yeah,
the
well,
the you could phrase it a different way. They're spending their efforts elsewhere, I suppose.
yeah. Well, we do have another show on the rest of our list that like deal with the same kind of setting, like in the distant future where the humanity has declined.
We do. Oh, I
I
guess
love
I
that.
know.
We do.
I guess I know which one
Yep.
you're talking about. But Hikari no O is
Yep.
I don't know. It feels a lot less stylized than that show.
Stylized. I actually liked it, the style. So I, well, I disagree with you on
I just
that.
hate the filter applied to the line art to make it look like kind of sketchy because
Right.
that's not the
Yep.
way it was drawn. It wasn't drawn with
Mm.
people like there's no way in my mind that all of the people doing like key and in between animation for this were varying the pressure that they were applying with their pencil to the paper, or let's
Mm-hmm.
say with their stylus to whatever digital tool they were using.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's completely artificial. Like what you ended up seeing on screen is they applied some filter to all the line art to make it look more like handcrafted, when in reality the reverse is true.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that sort of thing. Um,
Right.
Japan Sinks did the exact same thing.
Mm. All right. I don't mind. I don't mind that, to be honest. But I think I can see your point. How about the story? How about the story of a girl who, like, had to basically abandon her life in order to do the
Well,
mission?
she's forced to.
Yeah, she is forced to as well. That's
In
right.
fact, I mean, you say that she's forced to, and she is, by her. You know, she's forced to take this dog back to the capital, and bring it back to whatever that fire hunter's family ostensibly lives in the capital, and she has to take his possessions and his dog back there
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that the episode does a good job of justifying why that should be, based on the conversation that she has with her aunt. I think either her aunt or her
Mm-hmm.
adopted mother. I don't know exactly what the relationship is there, but it's clear that she is not like full sisters with that
Yep.
woman's daughter, because her
Yep. Yep.
parents
Yep. Yep. Yep.
died. The
Yep.
narrator explains that like midway through the first
Yep.
episode. They died in like, you know, they were
Yep.
killed by fire. They like a building lit on fire or something, and so did
Yep.
they.
Yep.
Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I assume that the show does a good job of explaining why it's necessary for her to go to the capital, but she herself, Toko, has very little to say on the matter. She
Mm-hmm.
has very little to say in general. She's
Yep.
just got her little tiny meek voice. The woman who's voicing her also provided the voice of Faputa in last year's Made in Abyss season 2. So she almost has like a little bit of a
Oh.
squeaky, very like quiet, meek personality and voice. And
All right.
so I'm not getting much from her on the whole, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
really feel
Mm-hmm.
one way or another about the fact that she's undertaking this journey. Like, that's kind of just information that the show has presented to me, and I just accept it as fact and as what's now happening in the present. I don't really hope for her success or wish that she had stayed in her hometown or anything. I'm just kind of an observer. I'm not really too engaged in her side of the story. And the other protagonist, what's his name?
Koshi.
Koshi. Yeah, him we hardly know anything about, so I don't really feel anything about his side of the story either. I'm just kind
Yeah,
of
that's right.
watching and like, I don't know, gathering data
Ye-
almost.
Right. What do you gain on, like the whole fire lore of the show?
Man, I don't know.
Because
There
yeah,
once was a world where humans could control fire, and I guess like it all burned down or something. Something went terribly wrong, and
oh, it happened inside of them, so it's more like they will burst into flame as well when they get into like extreme feeling or something. I think they did mention the fact, so
like human
they just
combustion or spontaneous
human
combustion, kind of
combustion.
like Fire Force.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yes, that's what I think as well.
Yeah, I did get that from the narration, but
But
there was also talk
what?
of like the world having been like the world dying or something and being reborn.
Yeah. Well, I think I understand that part, but the part I didn't quite get is the fire hunter themselves. So what they do? They collecting fire.
Yeah, they collect fire, which is apparently there are these big scary beasts who, man, the the like the design
All right.
and the compositing
Yep.
on those beasts, like the one that he fights near the start, we don't even really get to see the
Yep.
fight. In fact, it's kind of vague, like how exactly that plays out, because the camera. It, were- do you recall being shown a lot of detail or action in regards to that fight?
Well,
It's more like the
it
opening scene. He's already dead, basically.
that's that's right. But we got a bit of the flashback from that scene. You remember, like there a shot of the girl going to the forest,
Yeah,
and
and the
then
narrator is talking over that whole thing, either the narrator or her grandmother.
yeah, that's right, and yeah, that's right, and the beast came out, and I think he just like come from up the sky, come down and just slash the beast before it slashed him back.
He comes from the sky.
Yeah, he just come from above.
Like he was in the
So
trees, you
that
mean? Not like he dropped out of
yeah
heaven.
yeah, well, he came from the tree up above,
Okay.
and that's the shot that we get. Like he just jumped down and slapped the beast.
Yeah.
With
The sickle.
the sickle. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, but it was not very like clear or memorable, or I just feel like there's going to be trouble with this show down the line, like in terms of the direction, because Junji Nishimura is. I once described him on the blog as the Snoop Dogg of the anime world. The meaning, the meaning of that phrase being that he will show up anywhere there is a paycheck.
Oh, okay.
Anywhere that people are willing to pay him to do stuff, he'll do it. Like he's
All right.
he's directed very little that I'm fond of, and a whole lot of crap.
Right, but he did direct Simone.
Yeah, but Simone is like Simone. If you
Not
look
good.
at it from a directorial perspective, Simone is not good. It's
Right.
it's basically the premise of Simone that makes the show even like somewhat of a success. It's the setting and the premise. It's definitely not the
Yep.
direction, which is
With detail as well.
yeah. Windy Tales. That's the thing. Windy Tales is like you have to look back 19 years to get a glimpse of like his vision, like a show where he was successful in
Yep.
in
hmm
I don't know, being a director.
Yep.
Although I kind of like True
Okay.
Tears as well, but that's just because it's like a really sappy rom-com, and that was only 15 years ago.
All right.
Anyway,
All right.
I just
I get what
like
you mean.
the conversation between the guy who heads up the factory where they make that type of paper that all the
Right.
details about that completely elude me now, but he's having a conversation with her grandmother, or
Yep.
is it her adoptive mother? I think it's grandma.
Yep. Yeah, to go on. I don't think it's grandma because I think at one point she said to the girl that I know you go to the forest looking for the cure of for the eyes, and it's not for grandma, it's for me, right?
Right. Yeah, so this is apparently
So-
one of the sicknesses that humanity is no longer resistant against. Is that their eyesight diminishes over time.
Yep. Yep.
But anyway, the reason I brought up that conversation is because just like, I don't know, the way it was framed, it was just like panning shot, close up, super duper close up on just the eyes. You can't even see the mouth. I was like,
hmm
as that conversation was going on, I was like worried
Yep.
for how the rest of the dialogue scenes in the entire series would be framed. If that was just going to be the standard. So I'm interested in the setting, and I'm interested in I guess it's mostly the setting and the premise, and just the fact that the show is so different. Like of all the series on this list of 10 shows that we've chosen to check out, this one is the most, it stands out the most, I think.
Yep.
So it's atypical, and I'm into that, but I'm just not sure that it's going to work out.
Yep. I think I know what you mean. I like the setting so far. I kind of intrigued with the premise. Like of that girl going to the capital and that she gonna meet that guy
Koshi.
who like Koshi, who eventually maybe something else happened. So I'm down to that.
Yeah, when you say something else happened, it really is like the show doesn't lay everything out for you, you know? Even though there
Not
is a
yeah.
narrator who's like feeding you so much information just so you can understand where the hell we are. All at the same time, it does seem like there's way more that's left for us to discover in the future. Because
That's
the
true.
show is
Oh,
pretty like limited in scope in this first episode, and obviously with her being on this train now or whatever it's actually called by the people in this future or this world. I don't think they call it a train, but she's on a train ride basically to the capital, and apparently it's going to take 5 months, and there's no guarantee of survival. So you
yep.
can tell just from that being like what's happening in the immediate future that we're going to go to a bunch of different places, meet lots of different characters. There's a dual protagonist set up, so we're going to learn more about what's happening at the capital. As a matter of fact, the very last shot is that hideous 3D CG push in on like the some sort of capitol building or like somebody's manor or somebody's mansion.
Yep.
The implication being that whoever lives there is probably in a position of power, and we're gonna meet them and understand what drives them. And there's probably going to be some sort of corruption on like the governmental level happening in the capital, because that's a very common trope in these sorts of fantasy series. So there's more to learn even there. So that's interesting to me. Like there's more to come. We haven't seen all there is to see as of episode 1.
Yep. Yep. Very interesting. All right. I put it second.
Okay, for me it was third.
After. Interesting. And you actually have more complaints to this show than
Yeah, I have
it's
nothing. I have
supporting
nothing
it.
but complaints. But at the same time, it's something that I might want to watch more of, and I really can't say that about the majority of these series.
That's true. All right, the next one gonna be the ice guy, Koori's Zokusei Danshi to Ku na Douryou Joshi.
Yeah, there you go.
All right,
You did it.
I'm getting there.
You got it. The ice guy and his cool female colleague, something like that. We probably have to go through
That's
this
right.
one really fast because we're already 40 minutes in and we've only done 2 shows.
All right. All right, let's go with this one. This one actually remind me a bit of a Centaur Girl. I don't remember if you remember that
I
show.
do. I can even picture the poster. I didn't watch any of it, but I definitely remember it.
All right, because I watched the whole full show of that,
You
and
did?
it
Whoa.
I did back in the day where like
That show
I
was
watched a
not
lot
that
of
long
stuff.
ago, man.
But it had the same premise of like it's instead of that one setting in high school, this one setting in the workplace where like people with certain personality, certain characteristic, like together,
Yeah.
and
They just
it's
coexist
more
with
or
humans, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
The show doesn't even feel the need to explain it because it's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's right. And the other show, it just the production just kind of collapsed later
Yeah,
on.
I
So
remember that. I remember hearing about that.
I would expect the same.
Why?
With this because the first episode, like it already doesn't look that good. It's alright. It's serviceable, but it just looked kind of like not flashy at all.
Well, that's definitely true. But I don't think that every show should aim to, look super flashy. In fact, I think that,
That's it. Mm-hmm.
the desire for your show to stand out based on, its, let's say, action scenes or like quick storyboards or impressive like cuts of animation typically means that your show, unless you've got a really strong staff, typically means that your show is going to collapse. So I think, in fact, that was one of the things that I liked about this episode was that it established kind of a manageable look and feel for the series. Like it's not going to get out of control the further you go, like
Yep.
in producing it.
Yeah, that's true.
I do. Yeah,
And
I think it is kind of lacking visually, but I think sometimes that's actually the right call.
I understand what you feel. And yeah, within the context, I enjoy the relationship
The
between, you know, like
chemistry.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, you said the first syllable.
between the girl and what's her name, Fuyutsuki, and Himuro.
Okay, wow, you even got the names. Nice. I did not have that in my notes. I kind of dropped the ball on recording all the characters' names as I was jotting down my thoughts. Yeah, but
Well,
I love Fuyutsuki's design. I love that she's always
yeah.
wearing different earrings for whatever reason. I think that's awesome,
Yep. All right.
and
Yeah.
I think she's really cute. And
Yeah.
I like her. I like her personality as well. Like she's
Yeah.
she
No,
doesn't overreact to stuff. she is, as
that's
the
right.
title says, very cool, like very level-headed. But it's clear still that she is intrigued by her new coworker. She's just not going to spaz out about it because that's not who she is.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. I actually kind of like their little chance to each other. You know, like they just kind of taking care of each other.
Right. Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. That is
And-
nice to see because I've never lived in Japan. I've never worked in Japan, but from many accounts, the corporate world in Japan is not a particularly forgiving place.
Yep.
So
That's right.
if you are starting alongside somebody at a new job, then it would make sense for the two of you to kind of look out for each other, which is exactly how their relationship begins here. So that's
Yep.
nice.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
I think that the show's main shortcoming is that it doesn't really feel like it packs 20 minutes of material into this 20-minute package. Like, I would much prefer it if it were
agree.
half length.
Well, I agree with you as well. And to add to that, like Himuro, the ice guy reaction is kind of feels same. You know, like at the end of the episode, I think he act shy. He act awkward towards the girl a bit too much. So it kind of getting pale to me at the end.
Yeah, I know. I see what you mean.
So
I
yeah.
have
So, like
no
you said,
problem with their dynamic overall. It's just that like you can only repeat it so many times in the space of one episode because each of the little stories it tells are very small, like they're bite-sized. Basically, it's only
Yeah,
like
true.
2 or 3 minutes dedicated to each little encounter or interaction, or even less in some cases. And many of them have to do with the same theme, like he gets too pumped up or too depressed, and as a result, the weather changes around him because he quite literally generates ice and snow. And like someone will be like, "Oh, hey, can you please stop doing that? Because you're making
Yep.
it freezing for the rest of us." And he's like, "Oh, sorry, I'm just having this problem at work." "Oh, well, how can I help you with that?" "Oh, well, you could do this.
Yep.
I'm so happy that you want to help out." Like we saw that same setup like 3 or 4 times in this first episode, and that's great.
That's true.
But I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I just don't
That
feel like each of those little stories do enough to differentiate themselves from the others.
That's true. And even though that we get a lot of skits, we just like get the focus on the two main characters, so we don't see much of the supporting character, which I think in the next few episodes we're gonna see more of them.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, especially given that one of the ideas behind the show is that there are like folkloric
Yep.
creatures who have like bred with humans apparently, and their children have those same they do the same stuff, like they can generate ice, or they have cat ears, as one of the women who works at the office has.
Yep.
So they'll introduce new characters who have different traits along those lines.
Yep.
And they're going to go to Okinawa in
Yeah,
episode
that's
2.
that's right.
And he's
Yep.
like, that's not going to work out. I can't it's too warm there, or I can't
It,
fly in a plane because my weather generation might crash the plane or something. We don't know exactly why he's so upset
I
or anxious about
I
this, but
I get the feeling that it's the opposite. That it's too cold there. That he doesn't want to stay in the cold.
isn't Okinawa
He's,
like a warm climate?
I have no idea because I remember what he said. Despite that I can make ice, I'm not terribly fond of cold.
Oh,
I remember like history like that.
but I thought Okinawa were like the southern
No idea.
islands.
Yeah. All right. We gotta tune in and see in the next episode. I suppose.
Like if you Google Okinawa, the images that come up are beaches. So
Onikawa, right?
Okinawa.
Yep. I got that. Well.
I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know that I
Yeah.
really want to watch more and find out because I don't know that the show can really carry itself for 12 episodes
I
without
agree.
running out of material. But it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I enjoy myself a fair bit. But yeah, I also don't. I think that it's will run out of its steam very quickly.
Yeah.
Even like at the end of the first episode, I can see that like it's losing steam already.
Yeah.
All right, so I put it 8 out of 10.
For me, it was number 6.
All right. The next one is NieR Automata version 1.1a.
That's right. Gotta get the version
The full
1.1a.
title.
I assume that probably relates to the video game franchise, the NieR franchise, which is a spinoff of the Drakengard series. So the 1.1a probably differentiates it from the video games, and is maybe even a hint to people who are familiar with it that the events of the series are going to be slightly different.
Right.
I don't know.
Is it
I'm
like
completely in the
is it
dark.
like one? Yeah. Is it like one route, one possible route that it gonna take? I have no
Maybe.
idea.
I mean, I know that the NieR series features alternative endings, and in fact, the anime even makes that clear because if you watch until the end, there's like a little puppet segment where the characters like say that they're going to explain the different endings of the game NieR, so you can get a better handle on which timeline the anime is taking place in.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So
I completely miss it because I think the main pack of that is just that I don't really care about what happened on screen. It just for me it's a whole bunch of very randomly fight scenes that have very little to do with the whole narrative, because the whole narrative we don't learn that lot either. We just learn about the two main characters, the 2B and 9S.
Right.
And yeah, for some reason or another, they are on the same mission, and like things just happen.
well, they're fighting for humanity. We know this because
Alright.
they after the explosion at the end, which would obviously it's created by the two of them like fusing their black box or touching their black boxes together,
Mm-hmm.
and they wake up on board a satellite orbiting the Earth, and they both say like for the glory of humankind. So they are soldiers in a war that humanity is waging, I guess, against robots, because that's who their opponents are in this first episode. They're fighting against robots, and that's all we know. It's only the two of them who we meet. I don't think we see any other characters in this first episode. Maybe.
Yeah, we did see the switch up the point of view from 2B to 9S, and maybe vice versa. But yeah, we just see the two characters out of the whole first episodes.
Yeah, I feel like this show is, mostly going to be appreciated by people who are familiar with NieR and who have played the video game. It doesn't seem overly concerned with being friendly for, like newcomer friendly.
Yep.
It's not as though it's not as though that's like a completely illegitimate way of doing things. You can just make stuff that's going to be appreciated only by like a subset of your audience, only by fans, and that's all right. But as a result, I wasn't like really engaged by this episode. Um, I thought the action was okay, and I thought a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
3D CG was like the show kind of creates its own rules when it comes to the use of 3D characters, specifically enemies and environments.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
because it is so targeted at people who have played the game. It's kind of like
I
more forgivable the way that it like aggressively uses CG, because it probably will there will probably be a sense of familiarity for people who have played the game.
Yeah, I agree because most of the fight scenes for me is more like the game clips, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually like in complete loss of like following the stories. Like I don't even know
Well,
what their mission is
we
about.
don't know the story yet. We know the mission. The mission was to find the boss of the level. It really did kind of feel like a video game mission that we were watching play out, because that's how the episode's structured. I mean, they are given a mission and they have to find the powerful character in this setting and defeat it, whatever. They call it a Goliath class weapon, and that's what they have to locate that enemy and defeat it. So that's what the story is. Like, we don't understand the overarching story yet, but that's just the way that they've chosen to go about things.
Yep, yep.
And that's it's okay. I just personally didn't like it very much.
I didn't either. I might try a few more episodes, but I like I say the first episode. This episode already lost me in terms of like the whole context. It feel really like like specifically for the gamers that I am not the target for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt pretty much the same way. I thought it was all right, but I don't really feel like watching any more of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what rank that you put on that?
Seventh.
I put it 10.
I cannot believe that you thought that. I can't believe you thought this was the worst. Because there's one
All right,
show
let's-
here that is just way worse, man.
All right. I'm keen to find out.
All right, well, maybe it'll be the next one.
Maybe it's Ooyukiumi no Kaina or Kaina of the Great Snow Sea.
Right. So this show has a really interesting setting.
I yeah, let's talk to the studio first because I found that I'm not keen on Achin. I think I dropped it somewhere in the middle because of the CG. But a lot of other stuff from them I enjoy, like QT Dragon.
Right.
I watched the whole season of that one. I pretty much enjoy
Yeah,
it.
you watched a
And
60
this-
FPS interpolated version, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What's wrong with it?
The fact that
And,
it's 60 FPS and interpolated is what's wrong. Maybe somebody will
Well-
do that for this show too. I don't know.
Yeah, this one I feel have pretty much the same vibe with Coach Dragon, especially like at the first scene where they like cooking the bug egg
Right.
or something. It feel really chill, and the fact that that involve a lot of like the ship flying and stuff as well. So it kind of remind me of that show.
Yeah, it is. There is a similarity in that you're like hunting creatures,
Mhm.
and the world that the characters live in is it's not like completely been tamed by humanity. It feels like there's parts of the world that are kind of off limit to people, and in Kute Dragons, it's the sky, and in this show, I guess it would be, depending on your perspective, either the snow sea down below or I don't know what you would even call it, the layer up above.
Mhm.
I don't know what
All right,
material
yep.
that is exactly.
Yep.
that the main character walks around on when he's hunting those bugs? What is he walking on? Is it glass? Is it what is it?
We are unsure actually,
Yeah.
but we know that the bug are trying to maintain it,
Right.
which is very interesting.
Yeah, and they kill them.
I
They kill the people
for
who are trying to
food,
mend like
not the
the ground
people.
that they walk on. They're killing them off. But there is a line about them like not hunting them to the point of extinction, not like hunting them too aggressively because it's important that they are trying to
Yeah,
fix up the holes.
yeah. It's important that they try not to extinct them, but they specifically hunt for the one with the eggs.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of
So that
backwards.
yeah, but other than that, I think like the premise is pretty fun. Like we also have like a short of new protagonist before like these two meet together.
Right.
So we see at first the guy. I looking up his name now, Kaina.
Yeah, his name's in the title.
And oh right, and the tribe which composed of like almost all people. So it's very cool of me to say that, but I think they will pass away soon.
Well, they even talk about
Because
that amongst themselves. Like he's going to be left all alone. We're all going to
yeah,
die,
right,
and we're running out of drinkable water. And what's going to happen to him?
yeah,
And of course, the answer is he's going to go down to the Great Snow Sea down below and team up with this princess, Ririha, to
yep.
try to help the Atlanteans in their war against the Volgians.
Wow, I didn't know all of that based from the first episodes, but good on you.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I mean, this show is like a large percentage of it is based on
Yep.
establishing the settings and the various factions, you know. So I felt like because
And
that was such a big portion of the show, that was what was really like worth paying attention to.
yeah, and the scene where he talking to the I guess the chief of the tribe.
Yeah, what do
Who
they call it
show him
exactly? The
like
sign something?
yeah
The sign keeper,
sun-
maybe?
maybe yeah I'm not even sure, but yeah he make him read all of the billboard, and it make no sense to them at all.
Right. They just do it.
It's actually
It's like religious
they
or
just do it.
traditional.
That's right. It actually kind of remind me of the girls' last tour. They also like have encounter some of the like the lost technology of the previous generation, and they don't even know like what their function is, and I kind of like that. It's just like there is a loss in generation that like the newer generation just cannot make sense of uh what the technology, what the older generation were thinking,
Right.
and this one have I have the same sense of that.
Well, there is a missing generation in this show. If you look at the
Right.
difference in age between Kaina and all the other people who live up on the surface, or on
That's
the
true.
what do they call it, the spire tree?
Yeah. Yep.
There's just a missing generation there, and I think we may discover why that is once he eventually goes down to the surface. It may have something to do with like the Volgians. There may have been some sort of war that maybe like Kaina's parents, for example, they went down to help out with, or perhaps the Volgians even like interfered with, like they were. I don't know. I really don't know. I can only speculate.
Yep.
But now that he's met this princess, I'm sure we can tell where the story's going to go from here. But that's
Yep.
it's all right that it's predictable because the setting is so imaginative that you can
Yep.
you can tell this story of a boy meeting a princess and getting involved with her kingdom and the war that they're waging. You can tell it again just because there are inevitably going to be differences due to the fact that there's no water, it's all snow, and there's a big old layer of whatever, like some glass-like material up on top where they hunt bugs, and it's just very, it's very creative. And I don't particularly like the CG. It's not great. Polygon's CG has
I
never looked great, but it's okay.
yeah.
It's fine.
It become actually very distinguished to me. That I actually kind of enjoy. Like this is the plan, and I kind of enjoy the CG. Not so much as like it's look perfect or anything like one of the other show that we're gonna talk about, but because it just look exactly like like what they usually do.
Yeah,
I enjoy that.
they have their own signature, kind of.
Yeah, that's true. And I agree that like the image of like Kaina walking on that snow ice, whatever that is, with you can see down below.
Yeah,
It's just look like he walk on water, and it just look great.
yeah.
One thing that I'm not really sure though is that the princess they and the team they been hunting that thing, like for the sake of like their own kingdom. What they looking for?
What do you mean, the floating thing that they're hunting?
Yeah, the floating thing.
The only reason
Yeah.
they do that is so that they can send her up to the surface or up to the
Oh,
top layer.
so that's all intentional.
Yeah,
then.
because they attach
That,
the basket to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right.
That's what they were
So-
doing. They were trying to get her out of there, so that she could. I don't know. It may not have even been a conscious decision to send her up to the top layer to look for allies. It may have been
Yep.
like they just want to preserve her life.
Look for something. All
just
right.
wanna
But,
get
but
her
before that,
out.
they hunting that floating thing because of
They're only doing it so they can use it as a transportation system.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I think I got it. Yeah. All right.
And I don't know what exactly that
Interesting.
thing is. Like if it's alive.
Is it the
Or
thing?
I
Yeah.
think it's some sort of animal, but it's kind of like a jellyfish. Maybe like it has it has no control over where it goes, and it has no face. And
Or maybe it's just a balloon.
yeah, I think it's an animal of some description, but
Yep.
yeah, not a particularly
Right.
active one.
Yep. Very interesting. Yeah, I like the concept. I like the premise of like these two together, and I'm really looking forward to like when Kaina get down to the kingdom, and I want to see the huge difference between that kingdom and the setting that we see in the first episodes here.
Yep, it's a big adventure setup.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm kind of interested to watch more. We'll see.
Yep. All right. I put it 4 out of 10.
For me, number 5.
Yep. All right. The next one gonna be Revenger,
Right.
written by Urobuchi.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, that's not a huge draw for me. I've never been a huge fan of his works.
Mhm.
I like Madoka, same as everybody else. I like Psychopath, same as everybody else. But
That's about it.
well, yeah, I think so. I mean, there may be other work that he's been involved with that I've enjoyed, but it's not really his style, his trademark that will draw me to a series. So, I mean, that's just me. You
Yeah.
may be a bigger fan of his than I, just because you're
No.
into Thunderbolt
Not
Fantasy.
really. Yeah, and I think I'm not really enjoy. No. All right, that's a wrong phrase to say. I enjoy Madoka to a certain degree. I enjoy even Fate Zero to a certain degree, but it's always his seriousness or that like kind of put me
The
back.
monologuing.
The monologuing, the whole the whole man versus like himself, or like the whole idealistic like thing got crushed down by reality things. So that's why I enjoy Thunderbolt Fantasy the most, because like it him as his mod laid back. He just like try something fun.
Yeah, I see.
So
Well, how do you think of what do you think about Revengers? Do you think Revengers was fun?
It's not fun. It's in the truest sense. It's not it it all right. It kind of solid for me, but it's sit right in the middle of like what I enjoy the most from him, and like what I didn't like from him. So like it's kind of sit in the middle.
Well, the middle's not a bad place to be.
Yeah. How about you?
I didn't like this.
Yeah.
To me, this is
Tell me
not
about
how
it.
you. This is not how you write a tragedy like a son killing his father-in-law.
Yeah.
You just show the murder without context at first. Then, the people who set him up take him completely by surprise. They ambush him. And then when he's saved by Usui, the white-haired guy, then Usui's like, oh no, you got completely set up, and the Matsumine, the person who, like the financial officer of the government or whatever, he set you up, and your father-in-law was actually innocent. And so the main character is like, oh, I see. He just takes his word at face value as well. Like, does this guy have any thoughts of his own? Or do people just tell him that people are guilty or innocent, and he bases his worldview off what others say?
Yeah, well, you can defend him by the fact that he nearly got killed by like uh by the pupil who was under
Matsumine, like his henchman.
yep, yeah, that's right.
How is that? How does that? I don't get it. Why does that make this character Raizo or Kurima? I don't know how you want to refer to him.
Yep.
How does that make his character any better? That he almost died.
No. So he realized the fact that he been backstabbed by them.
Yeah, but when he wakes
So
up at Usui's place, he's still like, "What the hell's going on?"
yeah, that's true.
He just doesn't seem to me to be like particularly interested in discovering the truth for himself. Like, this man is a samurai. He could go do some reconnaissance. Like,
Yep.
let's say that you're just totally fine with him killing his father-in-law on fabricated charges, like on bad information that he's part of the opium trade. Let's say that's totally acceptable. Once he realizes that he's been set up and that wasn't true, wouldn't you think that he would then go out and like do some reconnaissance, like spy on some people and try to learn the truth for himself? He doesn't do that. He's just like, oh, I see. This guy who I hardly know is telling me the truth now, and so I'm gonna kill Matsumine based on his word alone. He doesn't even interrogate Matsumine after he emerges from that little like the end of his escape route in the forest.
Yep.
It's not as though he's like, tell me the truth. He's just like, prepare yourself, and stabs him.
Yep.
I just don't really. I don't like the main character at all. And that's about it. I mean, there's a bunch of interesting like weapons used, like a kite, and like a handkerchief that's like laced with gold. I guess it forms a vacuum on people's faces.
That's so weird, but yeah.
Yeah, those are. I mean, it's kind of fancy, and I mean, I'm into the idea of all the main characters who work for the church, apparently, like the Catholic Church, because they report to a chapel. I'm into the idea that they are like that's how they distinguish themselves, and they all use unique weapons. It's kind of cool idea for an action series, but I don't like the main guy.
Yep. And he gonna be the man for the rest, right? Because
Well,
because
his
at
wife
the end of
certainly
the
isn't
first
going to be
episode
a
he
main
left.
character because she did.
Yep. I would say a bit unnecessary as well, because there's no point of her, have to killing herself just for the sake of. I think this guy who have nothing to return in term of writing wise, so that he have to choose that the group now.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I understood it. She was like ashamed. She had lost her honor,
Yep.
I guess, because there's conversations like there's a couple women who are talking about her, like gossiping about her, and she's man. I just don't care about this show at all.
It does look good though, right?
Sometimes
All right.
I felt that the compositing was pretty weak. The action itself is all right, but it's not. There's no. I really didn't find it to be spectacular, and I don't merely mean spectacular to mean like awesome or amazing. I mean like it's missing some spectacle. The way that characters like die is it's pretty brutal, but I just felt like there was something missing. Like for example, Neo or Nio, I guess it would be Neo, the guy who uses the kite. That character's death, who he like wraps the string of the kite around their neck. I mean,
Is it the guy? I think it obviously the girl, right?
no, I don't think so.
All right.
I think that's
Yep.
another example of anime, like designing a female character but saying this is a man.
All right.
Because that's a very common thing in Japan. And I mean, all
Jeez.
the
Alright.
other members of the thing are men, and I think that's probably the target audience. Is like I think the show's probably aimed at women.
Right. All right. So, what you put on the show?
Eighth.
The ranking? I put it 6. Okay. All right. I suppose the next one gonna be the one that you dislike it. You didn't like it at all.
You think so?
Spy Classroom. Let's go with Spy Classroom. Another spy show.
Yeah, this show was terrible. This was terrible.
Yep. All right. I have a bit of fun watching this, so I think I'm gonna tune in for another few episodes.
I think you like
But,
shows about spies and assassins and stuff. I think you have a soft spot for that. Do you remember that show we watched like last year, or the year before, where one of the main characters' names was Chateau Dankworth?
All right.
Do you remember this?
No, not really. Go on.
Well, Dankworth. Let me see if I can find. Here we go. Oh, Koroshi Ai was the name
Oh,
of the
right,
show.
right. Yeah. Love is.
Love is killing.
Love is kill. Yeah.
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 So that
Yep.
show, we both watched an episode of that, and I thought it looked hideous, and it was like the writing was even worse than its appearance. And I pretty much feel the same about Spy Classroom, Spy Kyoushitsu. The show stinks.
All right. Yep. I think I can understand why, but can you get a bit more?
Yes. So the premise of this show is that it takes place after the Great War. So I don't know if that's something that's specific to the universe of this show, or if that's a reference to World War I, which used to be called the Great War. But in either case, after, in the wake of the Great War, which took a huge toll on humanity, like millions and millions of people died, all the world's major powers established academies where they would train spies, right? So that wars would only be fought between these spies in the future, and they wouldn't have to sacrifice so many lives. They wouldn't have to conscript so many people from their populations and make them into soldiers who would then die. So obviously, this is a major priority for like all governments, that these spy academies would be like really efficient and churn out people who are the best at what they do. However, in this show, this spy academy has a whole bunch of people who almost flunked out of their programs, which makes no
Yep.
sense. If you
Yep.
really are concerned about training the best spies, you would just cut everybody who falls below a certain threshold. You wouldn't send them off to another school where they get a second chance.
Yep.
So not only does that make no sense whatsoever, but the person who's in charge, who is in charge of like overseeing them, is the world's best spy. So the world's best
Yep.
spy is not going to be in the field doing missions, but he's also the world's worst teacher. Why would you, like, if your concern is educating spies in order to be the best that they could be, why would you teach a bunch of flunkies, and why would you put in charge of them a teacher who's terrible at teaching? Like, this show, just on a conceptual level, this show is trash.
All right. All right. All right. I think more of that. I think more of the sole premise is that because that guy is like one of the greatest spy in that country, so the government give him a chance to doing the mission, that the impossible mission, and like giving him like free range of how he conduct like conduct the spies, how he choose the picking the spies, and like conduct the training. So that's he unorthodox as he is, decided to pick out that 12 girls
There's 7, aren't
who
there?
like oh sorry, 7 girls that like at the bottom of the barrels, just because I'm not sure about that either. I'm not sure if he picked them like knowing them before.
I mean, you know
or
why
just,
he picked these 7 characters.
I don't know why either. I don't know why.
I do.
Uh,
He didn't pick them.
why?
The person writing the show and
The-
the person designing the characters picked them because they're all cute
Right.
girls.
Yep. And because he, as far as I can see, he showed a very lack of like caring for this one. I don't really think that he's the one who handpicked this girl. So whatever reason, he had the full confidence that like they can pull the impossible mission off.
What impossible mission? What's the mission?
I have no idea. So
Have no
they
idea
try to,
what the mission is, why these girls were selected, why this guy is
Nope.
not doing spy shit, and instead he's like quote unquote teaching them at this quote unquote school for quote unquote spies.
Uh, yep. Have you seen the assassination classroom?
I think I saw a handful of episodes of Ass Class. Yeah.
Yeah, because this one feel like that show
What?
and precept principles. The way that like at the end the guys say like the best method would be try to kill me.
Like Chainsaw Man.
If like Chainsaw Man.
Like, with the what's his face?
Right,
Who's like,
right,
okay, you guys are just
right.
gonna try to kill me.
Yep. That training in Chainsaw Man is awfully quick as well.
Yeah.
Like we didn't see a lot of that.
That's true. But in this show, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be extremely long and stupid if the final 1/3 of this episode is anything to go by. Because, dude, everything... Lily is the name of the main character, and the spy is Klaus. So those are their names.
Yep.
The whole, like, weird date thing that they go on in order to see the city, and then their whole exchange when they're in the rowboat in the middle of the lake is just the worst moment of any of these 10 shows, by far. It's so unbelievably dumb. Oh, you
Right.
poisoned me, but guess what? I let you poison me. I knew you were going to do that. And I just wanted to teach you a lesson by letting you poison me.
But I'm the one who get affected by the poison. Why don't you? Because I'm having a special ability of of not feeling poison anymore.
That's right. I'm the only
Oh,
survivor
you get
from
the-
my village because I just don't... The poison just doesn't affect me, bro.
Yeah, and for some reason he's like the bottom of the barrels.
Man,
With that special ability, they could have back her a specialist.
Yeah.
Like just try to, just for her to train to do some poison thing, and like she just walk on and like kill other people, or like just grab the the most uh important information.
Yeah. They could have, but I think her boobs are too big for that. You really got to make her the main character of a show with boobs that big. You can't just waste her as like a specialist that we'll never see on camera.
I have fun though. I like to check out other characters to see it, because I'm not sure if it's gonna split between different perspectives. So it's gonna go with different girls in each episode, or like just stay on this one. I want to find out, man.
All right. You go ahead and find out. I would request that you not tell me though, because I don't want to have that
Alright.
information in my brain.
All right, fair enough. So you put it last, right?
I mean, before I tell you what what position I put it in, I would like to remind you never to forget the sunset that we've seen today, or all the people that have who have been cherishing it together with their loved ones. Never forget this day where I let you poison
Yep.
me. I put it 10th.
I put it 7th.
Nice.
All right, the next one. that was fun. The next one is Tomo-chan wa Onnanoko.
Oh my dude, you
Tomo-chan
thought
is a
the ice
girl.
guy and his cool female colleague was less enjoyable than Spy Classroom. That's wild to me. Tomo-chan wa Onnanoko.
Yep.
I think we may have given this one the exact same rating. Looking at all this.
All right.
9th.
Yep. Night.
Yeah.
I put it night.
Yeah.
I just feel that the premise that doesn't really carry the whole show.
Yeah.
Like the premise is about the girl who act like a boy, and that her best friend, the one that she crushed, seeing her as a boy. It's stupid as it sounds.
Yeah.
I actually the thing that I enjoy is the interaction between other cast members, especially when it comes to Gundo and that man Kubota. Whenever she tease Kubota about Tomo-chan.
Which one is Kubota?
He-
Is he the main? Is he Jun? The main?
Oh,
male
sorry,
character?
he's Jun. Yeah, he's Jun. So whenever she tease Jun about Tomo-chan, like whether she will find someone someday,
Yeah.
he would act rather rashly.
Yeah, what was
Harshly
the
to
deal
her.
with that scene where he like pushes her out from underneath the awning at school and into the rain?
I
That was
love
that was
that.
so awkward. Like the way it was framed, there was no levity to it whatsoever. He was like dead serious. Like get out in the rain. I hate you.
Yeah, I love that. I think it just to say that his true feeling is he did feel a bit jealous about that, and whatever like Kondo trying to evoke him, he fall for that. We have like two of that scenes like that, and I think that's the best.
Yeah, there's also
out
the one
of
where he
whole
takes the
episode.
scrunchie out of her hair and throws it away. I was much more okay
Yeah.
with that one because it wasn't so like mean-spirited.
Mean. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be that. He kind of act very mean to her.
Yeah.
because
He definitely
She-
does.
because she teased him at first, but
Oh, what if the two of
yeah,
them end up falling in love? That'd be a twist.
that would be a twist. But like the girl is her name is in the title,
Yeah.
so I don't think that she's gonna get like.
Although, I mean, the title isn't Tomo-chan falls in love or Tomo-chan gets together with the guy she likes. It's Tomo-chan is a girl. What if there's a extremely like progressive shift in the story and it's all about her coming to terms with, like her labeling herself as a woman and not being overly concerned with how other people view her, and then the romance like is completely written
Yeah.
out of her part of the story, and it's the other two characters we were just talking about who fall in love.
Yeah, and get over the fact that June that she have a crush for June. I think I'm down to that. uh, the only thing that I want to see more in this episode, if I ever watch more of this show, is I want to see how Gendo, that best friends girl, doing, like what schemes he gonna come up with in these next episodes.
I don't know. I mean, that's like the basis of her character is that she messes with people. Well, she messes with Tomo-chan and June all the time, and she won't let anyone else do it. Like that scene between her and I don't know, I don't remember the guy's name, like Ibuki or Kazuki, something like that. She's like, I'm the only one who's permitted to mess with them. You better step off, bud.
I like her.
I just don't like her show. I don't. There was only one like scene or even just like individual cut that I was interested in. I thought the whole show was like completely boring looking. But the scene where Tomo runs away from June when they're under the umbrella and he like smells her.
Right.
And she runs away, and as she's running, eventually she recedes into the distance so far that you only see the water that she's kicking up as she's running. I thought that was an interesting shot. Like shots where the presence of a character is implied, but you don't actually see them. Instead, you see like the result of their movement or something like that. Those are generally pretty interesting to me. So I liked seeing the wake of the water that she was kicking up as she ran around the corner. I was like, oh, okay, that actually took some thought to like lay out that shot. Everything else, just very bored.
Yeah.
Close-ups of characters making anime faces. The hallways in the school building being like obvious 3D CG layouts and just looking completely sterile.
And sometimes it just sounds until it's funny gag.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I expect that from anime, just for characters to be yelling. But didn't really do it for me here.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I'm terribly, like not invested in the two men relationship, how they gonna fall in love with each other. I just think that they are both very boring. Other supporting character actually shine more, so that actually not a good sign for the show.
At least it gives you some reason to maybe watch.
Even
though I don't even have that.
Even the two girls who who crushing one of Tomo friends.
Yeah, the blonde guy and her like karate thing.
Yeah.
Is it karate? I can't remember. Am I like a huge racist right now?
It's either karate or judo, but I think it's karate because she kicked him. It had to be karate.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't even know the difference based on the fact that there's kicking involved.
Well, judo is more like you try to use your weight to put the other off the crowd.
Right.
And karate is more involved kicking.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and chopping. Anyway, even that two girls who I think they are even more interesting than Tomo-chan.
I can't say I agree with that, but I definitely agree that Tomo is not particularly like a character that I want to follow.
Even June.
I just Googled and apparently it is karate, so hooray for me, I'm not a racist. At least not today, not right now.
Yep. Alright, so we have two more shows left. Let's go with that.
Right.
Two of the good ones as well.
Well,
according to let's see your list.
Right. I mean, you can tell by process of elimination what two scores I have, and they're both in the upper range. But I was not that impressed with Trigun Stampede.
All right.
Like put a certain way, I wasn't impressed with it. I mean, I was definitely impressed with it visually, because Orange it's only the 3 series that they've done since Land of the Lustrous in 2017, but each one it's like a step up. And in this one specifically, in Trigun Stampede, like the facial animation was what I really took note of. Because when you model a character out in 3D, there's not a lot of flexibility in terms of the like their cheek movement or the their eyes or mouths ever taking on like lopsided shapes where they're not symmetrical. But there was a lot of that in Trigun Stampede, so I think that's probably where a lot of the emphasis is in terms of the tech that they're like the new tech that they're bringing to this show. So that was interesting to me. But the story, like, I'm not a big fan of Trigun, like the original Trigun. So, and this episode didn't really do anything to change my mind.
Right. So you watched the original Trigun, right?
I've only seen 15 episodes of it out of 26, maybe. And I've also seen the Trigun Badlands Rumble movie, which is amazing looking, but also not that interesting to me on like a story or character level.
Right. How different it is to this new version in terms of how it approaches the story?
Well, I mean, my memory of it is hazy, but I can tell you for certain that the original Trigun does not open with the scene in space with all of the plants, which is the term for people who have like this ability to control, I don't know, power, like food, water, electricity. They just have like a vague, very vaguely outlined power to provide sustenance for people and places. They're like a power source, basically. So the scene in space that opens on that ship, it's like a whole bunch of pods in that open area. And Vash is like, "Hey, everybody, it's me, Vash. How are y'all doing in your little containment pods?"
All right.
That whole scene in space with them like being sent down to Earth and escaping and everything, not in the original series. You don't understand who or what Vash is until much, much later in the original. So this one's more open about the backstory. I guess they took that route because they figured, well, people, I mean, the secret's already out based on people's readership of the manga and their viewership of the original anime. We don't need to keep it a secret anymore. There's no point. So it's just more, we're getting more of the full story right up front. I don't know if that's better or worse. I really don't care too much about Trigun, so I can't comment on that.
Yeah, and I suppose they have a brand new character as well. Roberto De Niro.
Who is Roberto De Niro? Is he the older journalist?
Yeah, that's the one who drunk at work, the one who goes along with Mary Streep, not Mary Streep, Mary Streep. Meryl, sorry.
Is she actually named Meryl? Because she was in the original, I think.
Yeah.
Meridu.
I think
how they end up pronouncing it.
Meridu. Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool. Yep, that's her.
Is it? Wait a second.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, her character design is a lot different. She's like shorter and younger looking. I guess to illustrate the age difference between her and Roberto. I didn't even catch it. That was his name when I was watching the episode. And also her occupation is different. She wasn't a journalist in the original. She was like an insurance claims woman. And the reason she was following Vash around all the time was not because she wanted to write a story about him, but because wherever he went, he wreaked havoc. And the places that he went, she had to like go and file reports, being an insurance person.
That's actually a more interesting premise, like the way she had to follow him, just to claim insurance. That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. Also, her companion in the original series was not Roberto. It was a woman named Millie.
Yep. I heard about that, and I heard a lot of people just like being a bit pissed off about.
Yeah. Where's Millie?
Leaving her. Yep. All right. Anyway, I like the look of this show. I also think this is a step up from Orange, and they make many of my favorite before. I don't like the first segment of the show that much. The one that you just discussed. They are like young. They are in the in space.
Right,
It's a
like the
bit,
prologue, basically, or whatever you want to
yeah,
call
it's
it.
a bit too awkward compared to the rest of the show.
I thought it was very.
And
It kind of reminded me of like a superhero origin story. Like it
that's
took
true. Yep,
inspiration from what happened to Superman. That's because
yep,
that's
yep,
he
yep.
was on his original planet. He was sent off that way. And I mean that's the way it was in the original series too. But just
Mm.
the how kind of bombastic everything was, like all the explosions and the tear stained goodbye where she like has to push him into the thing and press the button, you know.
Yep,
It just felt very like Hollywood to me.
yep, yep, yep. I agree with you on that. And I think Vash is the perfect characters for Orange to animate, because the way that he can be spooky, he can be very unconventional to draw, and I think they should sit up drawing like his movement, his unconventional movement and facial expression very well.
Yeah, for example, the scene where the bad guy in this episode is like shooting him point blank, and Vash is like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
elastically moving his body out of the way because he's not
yeah, yeah.
human.
That's right.
He's a plant, and not a plant in the way that you would think of a tree or a bush or a piece of grass as being a plant. It means something else, though the meaning
Wow,
is
I
like
didn't know that.
similar.
All right. I didn't know about that fact.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that's what the whole opening scene is about. Is he's at the plant factory. He's one of the children that is engineered to like be a power source.
Okay. And yeah, we can see that he great with shooting. Even like just with one bullet, he can
Shoot a rock
he,
so that
he
all of its pieces hit all the little
yeah.
mines
Oh
or
my
whatever
god,
those things were supposed to be.
that just I cannot believe it for 1 second, but
Yeah, it's supposed
all
to be
right.
completely over the top. That's the
Yep.
Trigun way. Millions of
Yep.
bullets, and not one of them ever hits the target.
That's true.
From the bad guys, at least.
Yep. And yeah, I really love the background design.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the new city, even though I think it's set in the desert, look pretty much very colorful, and yeah, it just look very distinctive. I like the way that Vash, like showing no hostile whatsoever to the two journalists. He even invite them for drink.
Right. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
he's
so
always a really friendly guy until he isn't.
mhm.
Have you seen any of the
So
original
yeah,
Trigun?
no,
So
no,
when we
not at all.
eventually do our best of the '90s thing, that'll be new
Yep,
for you.
yep. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm really looking forward
Have
to
you ever
that.
seen Have you ever seen or heard the Trigun opening theme?
Not at all
Okay, because
either.
that's the best. That's one of the all-time great anime OPs. To me,
Huh.
the original Trigun anime is just basically its value lies in the fact that it had a really amazing OP. That's about it.
I even own like the whole DVD series of this show,
And you haven't seen it?
and I haven't seen any minute
You
of it.
just really like buying stuff, huh?
Yeah. Well, I actually thinking of selling that Trigun, making profit out of it.
I don't know about profit. You might make some of your money back. Oh, do you think you'd
Well,
actually be able
well.
to sell it for more than you got it?
Yeah. I definitely think so, because I think I got it for relatively cheap.
I mean, it's a DVD.
So let's
Nobody
see.
really cares about DVDs anymore, right? It's all about Blu-rays.
That that is true, but people can still like the old stuff.
I mean, this conversation we're having right now to me is more interesting than Trigun Stampede.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Because I
viewed it as like a major tech demo. I thought it was really impressive looking.
all right, because I put it first.
Oh, okay. For me, it was number 4.
Right. Very interesting. So Vinland Saga.
Yeah, season 2.
Yep. I remember you're not really keen of the first season.
I mean, I definitely liked I don't know, let's say first half of the first season, or at the very least, like the first 3 or 4 episodes, which released all at the same time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so it was like a mini movie, and I thought they were
Mm-hmm.
great. But the longer it went
Yep.
on, the less enthused I was with it. Yeah, and I mean, maybe the same thing will happen here, but for now, I'm interested. I really like the way that
Yeah.
they slow roll the appearance of Thorfinn's character,
Yep. Yep.
because that takes confidence, you know.
hmm So they actually the entire episode is from the point of view of Anna,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, until the very end, did we see that he end up in the same field as Thorfinn, and that's when our main character reintroduced to the series.
Right.
But the whole journey that Anna go through is pretty much like I think one of the main theme in Vinland Saga. It touching on a characters who like have a happy life and lost everything because of the Vikings, and become a slave. So that basically like all the thing that that Vinland Saga had been very interested in, even like in the first season.
Yeah. It's about Vinland Saga is about questions of like revenge, um, subjugation,
And
whether
even like accepting your fate
yeah,
as well.
yeah, that's true, and whether morality like exists in those sorts of situations,
Mm.
like whether it's okay for you to fight back, take another person's life because they've taken the life of someone who's close to you. Um, so I mean those are all interesting questions and worth
Mm.
exploring. And Vinland Saga has built its reputation on the fact that it's gone to those sorts of places, talked about those sorts of issues. I
Mm.
wasn't always convinced by the way
Mm.
that it went about doing that in the first season. But I mean, this is season 2. It's a fresh start. We're in a completely new place. Do you know exactly where we are? We're not in the Americas, are we?
I don't think we're in America. That's a good question. He from the North England.
Right, that's
I
where
would
Einar is
say,
from. Yeah.
yeah. I would guess that they are still in somewhere in Europe, not in America. But I could be very wrong
The
in
the
this.
reason I have a question about it is because whenever like the new world was brought up
Yep.
in the first series, we are like the visuals that would be put on screen to accompany that sort of dialogue would be very similar to what we got on what's his face's farm. The guy who now owns Einar and Thorfinn. What is his name?
All
I can't
right.
remember.
I actually don't remember
I think
either.
it starts with a
But I
K.
okay.
But I don't know. Anyway, his farm has that very
Mm.
similar like golden color and like the fields of wheat, you know, that
Yep.
we would see in the first season whenever someone was talking about going to the new world or like paradise.
Ketil, right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
All right. Yep. Go
Um,
on. Go on.
so as a result of that visual similarity, I have some question about whether we're in the new world. But I mean, it would be impossible, right, for them to have taken
Mm.
Einar across the sea that way.
Yep. Yeah, well, I'm not sure on that either, but I think that's something that we can find out in maybe in the next episode, so to know where exactly they end up with.
Right. It's kind of fitting that we don't know because Einar himself wouldn't know like exactly where he is, and that's something that
That's right.
he brings up when he's in one of his many monologues. And that's another thing I like about this episode is that the fact that so much of it takes place in like interior dialogue. It's not dialogue at all,
Yep.
just interior speech in the
Monologue.
mind of a
Yeah.
character
Yep.
is totally fitting because the episode focuses so heavily on one character. In order to like inhabit a character's mind, convincingly.
Yep.
You really have to make your story all about that person, and that's what this episode does.
Yep.
So as a result, when the fact that we're just hearing his thoughts for most of it makes sense, you know, and it feels right. And he doesn't know where he is, so as a result, we don't either.
Yeah, and even that really appropriate in the sense that he become a slave, so he don't have a voice of his own. So obviously
True.
he's like his monologue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really appropriate in that sense.
Yeah, I feel like I should know where we are. You know, obviously NieR doesn't, and so we as the audience aren't given that information directly, but I feel like I should be able to infer it. But the thing is, like, my memory of Vinland Saga is pretty. I remember the general outline of the story, but you know, and I remember Askeladd dying and everything, but
Yeah.
the specifics I don't know.
Yeah. Did you read the manga?
No, I haven't.
Yep. So alright. According to what I should research, I think they end up in Denmark
They're in Denmark.
because because the K2 farm is in Denmark. Is in Denmark.
Okay, is that based on people's knowledge of like real world events?
It's based on what I read in Vinland Saga fandom. Wikia.
Okay, well there you go. Those people would probably know because they're all about it. Yeah, Denmark. Wikipedia also says Denmark as well. NieR is taken to Denmark along with other prisoners to be sold as slaves.
I think that makes sense because it's Viking, and it's the Viking that take prisoner of Anna, so it makes sense that they would end up in that Scandinavia, region.
Yeah. Why did I ever think they went to America? Damn. Everybody listening, all the Vinland Saga fans listening to this right now are like, "This guy is so dumb." Which it's
not.
true. It's true. When it comes to Vinland Saga, I have like a low IQ.
Yeah, well, maybe in the future they will end up in America. We don't know.
Well, I think that's like the series' ultimate destination. Like that's the
Right.
place that it kind of reserves as like the land of dreams, basically, for Thorfinn. That's where you can be truly free.
Yep.
So, if it ever goes there, it will be pretty late in the game.
The fact that the second season is made by Mappa scared me a little bit.
Why is that?
Yeah, because of I just with studio more than Mappa. It's and even though they have, I think they pretty much had the same stuff.
They do.
It's just it's just the fact that Mappa, like their production usually, take a nosedive at the second half.
I mean, if you have,
I really hope that
if you have the
this
same
is not okay
staff,
for Vinland Saga.
then the only thing that's different is like the building
The
where
studio
people are working.
Yeah.
And not even that, because as we know from Shirobako, a lot of people do not come in to work. They're freelancers.
Yeah.
They work at home, and then the people who are actually employed by the studio are the people who have to drive around and pick up people's cuts.
Yep.
And even
Yep,
that
yep,
is a
yep.
practice that is probably diminishing over time with more and more people working digitally. They can like send files to each other.
Yep.
So
That's right.
I mean, I'm not. To me, this
Yeah,
looked
but-
and felt pretty much like Vinland Saga, and I really, especially because this is, in terms of like Mappa's, their overall portfolio, they're a studio that is big enough to care about prestige, not just that they're working on all the most popular stuff, but that they're working on some prestigious stuff as well. And I think Vinland Saga is probably number one in terms of their like prestige works. So they're good, they're not gonna like let it fall by the wayside or anything.
Hopefully, man.
I mean, yeah, it remains to be seen. I assume that this season is also going to be like 24-ish episodes.
Yep.
I don't know
yep.
whether it'll run straight through or whether it'll be split core.
Yep.
And I mean, it's not up to me to know that or really like dictate.
Yeah.
They'll do
I heard
whatever
that-
is best for them or what they think is best, and that's whatever.
I heard that it's gonna be a split core, but I think it's nothing official confirmed yet.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of rumors and quote unquote leaks are flying around.
Right.
Um,
And yep. And one of my main issue at the end of Vinland Saga 1 is that Thorfinn is like he's stuck in like one mode. So I hopefully like this season is like a comeback for him as well.
well, he's been enslaved, so
Yeah.
I don't know what exactly he
Yeah.
can do from that position.
Yeah. But
I think it'll be
but
more about whatever relationship he develops with NieR and any
yeah.
other slaves who may be working on the farm or who may come in to
Yeah.
work on the farm in the future.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be an interesting relationship between Anna and Thorfinn. The fact that they are both slaves, and the fact that I think the Viking who kill Anna family is pretty much from Thorfinn's gang.
Mm. Could be, yeah.
So so there will be a source of like for Anna to revenge as well.
What do you mean?
If he take a bath, like if he wanted to revenge the people who responsible for his family death, I think Thorfinn would be a perfect target.
Yeah, I mean, not really the perfect target, but the only one available.
That's true. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, I'm sure that information will come out and that the series will, get to mine some drama from it. We'll
Yep.
see. I really like how small in scale this excuse me, how small
Yep.
in scale this episode was. It was very personal.
Yep.
And the production, as always, I have when it comes to
And-
Vinland Saga, I have my small little issues with it. Because, I mean, the main reason I have those issues is because for a show like this, I expect it to, be incredible. And it isn't that exactly, but it's certainly, it understands how to, I don't know.
Opens.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, in terms of this first episode, sure, but just in terms of like individual moments, it understands when to like push the camera in close and what kind of music to use in order to stir up your emotions and everything. Like just broadly, it gets how to do that.
Yeah, even I think that the storyboard is good enough that I have a moment of laugh as well in this episode with the appearance of Leif Erikson.
Right.
Like, yeah, we see him from afar. We didn't know who he was until like the fact that he look at Edna, and like just that expression on his face when they see that this is the raw version that I was looking for. He's not even blonde.
Right. Yeah, all
Yeah.
the little bits of humor in Vinland Saga are, I don't know, they're fine. There was some of it too before the Vikings came to Einar's settlement, like where his sister throws a knife at his head, and he's like, "You had spoons and bowls. Why do you have to throw a knife?" Just little.
Yep.
It's not like full grimdark,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
that's just Vinland Saga's style. It's all right.
Yeah.
I don't I don't have that much to say about this episode, I guess, because we don't see Canute. We do see Leaf for a little bit, and that's cool. But we don't see Canute. We don't see what's his face, the super strong guy. Dorkel.
Topco.
We don't see him. A lot of the other supporting characters from the first season, we haven't seen them yet, and so there's less to talk about. But at the same time, I think it was the right idea, because NieR is going to be pretty important. If you want to keep the focus on Thorfinn, there need to be people for him to interact with.
Yep.
And it's not going to be particularly satisfying if the person he's interacting with is like a slave who is just brought to the farm and who we know nothing about.
That's
so you got to
true.
build him up, and I think this episode did that very effectively.
Yep. Alrighty. So I think that this concludes our new season.
So I guess you put it third. Is that right?
Yeah, I put it
Okay.
third.
Number one for me. And yeah, that's the end. We got to the end of the 10 shows. Maybe not the best 10 shows on offer here, but some of them, among the best. Yeah.
Yeah, try out even try out Spy Classroom or near Automata. Maybe it's for you. Just saying.
Watch whatever you want, man. Just make sure,
All right.
make sure that you remember the sunset and all that. Dude, that line was so stupid. I mean,
Well.
that lines belongs in like Vinland Saga. And like a
Yep.
conversation
Yep.
between Thorfinn and Akar when Thorfinn is like, you have to remember all like the small beautiful moments that you had with your family in order to keep you going, through the difficult times when you're enslaved and subjugated. You have to hold on to what made you human. That's the sort of scene where that line belongs, not immediately preceding like, oh, I predicted that you were going to attack me and I let you do it.
Yep. All right. So we'll be back. We'll be back in a few weeks for more movies.
Yeah, Triple Cross.
So tune in
over there on the other channel. I don't think we know what the theme is yet, but we'll figure it out. And as Mario said, 3 weeks time we'll be back.
Yep.